everybody out in the YTPC. How is it going today? It is Friday. I'm excited about that. And I am just having a little smoke here with some Kramer's Father Dempsey. I kind of lost my taste, my ability to taste tobacco for a few days. It's been really bugging me. I think it was a sinus infection or something, but little by little it's coming back. I noticed last night I could actually taste the pirate cake. It just wasn't as, potent as usual. And Father Dempsey's coming through pretty well now, so I think it's on its way out. Thank goodness. It's always a nightmare when I can't taste my tobacco. It's like, no, come on. Yeah. So that's nice. I wanted to do a VR to Harriet Herfer. I discovered your channel not long ago, really. Just maybe a couple of weeks ago. And I've been really enjoying, I kind of like the, sit and relax and have a smoke style that you have. That's I do appreciate the really, like, let's get in there and review some tobacco videos out there, but I also like, sometimes I appreciate the more laid back, just have a smoke with somebody videos. It's kind of the social side of the YTPC, as opposed to the results driven, give me the reviews right now kind of side of it, which I also enjoy. So I'm gonna do a VR now to your 300 sub giveaway, and congratulations for that. It's awesome. I understand it's hard to believe because you've got so many videos and you guys are so good at it, but somebody mentioned that you guys are relatively new, and that your channel is really blown up. So big time congratulations. Awesome. But I can certainly see why. It's your insights are great, and you and your husband are just fun to hang out with and have a smoke with. That's great. Awesome channel. So I believe I need to ask you a question and give you the thing in my life I'm the most proud of. So I'll start with the question. I really honestly want to know this, and I might ask similar questions of people in my videos, but because it's interesting to me. What piece of advice or technique have you gotten from the YTPC, learned from the videos that you've been watching, that has maybe opened a door for you or helped you, advance? I know that you've mentioned that you used to only like, aromatics, and then you kind of got into Englishes, and you hated vapors for a while, and now you like vapors, and so I imagine you've had some like door opening moments. And I wonder what videos, or what if there's a video in particular, or a person in particular in the YTPC that has, given you that one of those like moments that helped you kind of open a door and get through to the next level, and something that just like really stuck with you. I've had quite a few. One of them was the Bremen pipe smoker talking about meerschaum pipes. It was really interesting to me and helped me kind of really understand meerschaum in a way that I didn't before, and how it can be a really good, solid, pipe. It's not something to just necessarily wear gloves with and keep on display, but you can actually use it as an everyday smoker, and has great qualities for absorbing moisture and such, and it doesn't ghost. So anyway, that would be an example of one of mine. Just throwing that out there. Um, and the other thing, of course, was something in my life that I'm proud of. And that one was really easy. That'd be my son. I mean, hands down. There's nothing I've done in my life that compares to this little guy. He's pretty much the center of my existence. We have our weekend together every other week. He and his mother and I are not, or his mother and I are not together anymore, but we both are very, very committed to making sure that he has all the opportunities that he needs, and we work together very well, I think, in making sure that he's raised well, and he has a really, really nice life in her house, and he comes over here, and he has kind of a whole different thing because I have this workshop, and we make things together and watch 80s movies. And I kind of introduce him to a whole lot of things that he wouldn't otherwise, get. Teaching him how to program. I'll tutor him in the more mathematics and, computer based, and stuff, and kind of help him along with that. And yeah, it's really just, it's what I look forward to, it's always like, well, when's his next, visit coming up? I feel silly even taking credit for it, because I didn't have anything to do with it. He's awesome all on his own. But it's just a real pleasure watching him break through things that gave me a lot of trouble as a kid. He just excels in so many things that I had trouble with, and it's really cool watching that, and being there to kind of help him get to the next thing, and he probably has no idea that he's excelling in some things so much faster and so much better than I ever did. I was terrible at math as a kid. And part of it I know was I had some really, really bad teachers. I remember a particular summer where I was doing so badly in math. My mom got me a tutor, and it was almost like night and day. When I went to this tutor, everything made sense. I was like, well, this is easy. And I went back to school loving math. So I never forgot that. And I thought, just there really is something to that saying that there are no bad students, only bad teachers. I think you can be a bad student. I don't know if I would get completely on board with that, but there is merit to it, because the teacher is everything. The teacher is the one who kind of sets the. So obviously he has some pretty good teachers, and when he doesn't, and he still has questions, I'm there to kind of help tutor him and get him further. And that's been really rewarding. So anyway, it's kind of a cop out, because it's not, it's his accomplishments that make him so great, not me, not mine. But I can't really think of any. When I think of the word proud, I can't think of anything I'm proud of that compares to how proud I am of him. So there's that. And those are the two questions. I'm gonna extend it one further and talk about some stuff. I know that first of all, I've been watching your videos, and you mentioned that you got to see Star Wars in the theater. I'm just gonna call it Star Wars because I'm a big Star Wars fan, and but I'm not such a big Star Wars fan that I'm against just calling the original one Star Wars, because there's something about that. I have my son trained on that too. It's like younger kids his age call it A New Hope. I'm like, yeah, but when we were kids, that one was Star Wars. The other one was Empire, and then Jedi. It was Star Wars, Empire, and Jedi. We all knew that it was called A New Hope, of course, but Remember, it wasn't actually named A New Hope until just before Empire came out, and it was re-released, and they put episode 4, A New Hope, on there. Anyway, that's I think that there is kind of a, you probably know what I mean. There's this like this, I don't know. There's this special quality to, having a memory of actually going and seeing it in the theater the first time. I think everyone else is trying to kind of capture something, but we had it, like we were there. And anyway, recently I got to take Evan, my son, to the place where I saw Star Wars. I don't know how many times I saw it, honestly. I was so young. It probably was a re-release, honestly, because I think 3 or something when it came out. No, I think I was 2 when it came out. So yeah, I was really young when it came out. So I think it was actually a couple years later, just before Empire came out, they re-released it. But back then they would have movies coming and going in the theater over and over because they didn't have VHS. So I'm not really sure what releases I saw. I do know that it played at the theater down the street a lot. And I remember my mom, she loved the movie. And she said it was cheaper to go to the movie theater and hang out there all day than it was to run our AC all weekend, So it was like, let's just go to the movies. I mean, it was like somewhere to go instead of like running that expensive AC all weekend. So she would take me, and so I saw it so many times. I remember at some point getting tired of it because I'd only seen Empire once, and I remember somebody take me, oh, which one are we going to see? Oh, I don't know, because nobody knew the difference back then. And I specifically remember sitting down hoping it was Empire, and this is before Jedi came out, and it turned out to be Star Wars again. I was like, oh my god, I've seen this so many times. I want to see Empire. I only got to see Empire once in the theater ever, back then, and it was so disappointing. I always wanted to see it again. I'll never forget seeing it on cable years later. Oh my god. But anyway, it was so I got to take Evan to go check out the theater. It's no longer a theater. It's actually like a grocery store. For the longest time, it was a bookstore, and they didn't really change anything when it was a bookstore. It was like they just took the seats out and put in bookshelves, and that's all they did. So they had the big lane down the middle. The screen was still there. They had this. You'd go up these stairs, and there was a rack of magazines in front of the screen. But I mean, it was still like if you just remove the bookcases and then the rack of magazines, you'd be in a theater with no seats, basically. But I mean, it was the same. They didn't change the carpet. It was an Art Deco theater, so gorgeous paintings all the way around, and the ceiling was very, very ornate, and the balcony was still there, and I remember watching it from the balcony. Well, the basic construction is still the same. Most of that is still there, but they've covered over a lot of things, and the screen is gone. There's something that looks like a screen, but it's not the actual screen. I don't know why they even did that. So anyway, I got to take him there, and I was like, he was like, why are we going here? I was like, I showed him in the front. I said, see how it looks like a movie, like where you would take the tickets in front of a movie theater. He's like, yeah. And then we walked inside, and then we got right in the center, and I said, see that up there? And he looked up, upstairs, and now it's closed off. It's like for employees or something. I said, that's the balcony that I originally saw Star Wars in. And he's like, oh my god. Blew him away. Like, you saw Star Wars from right there for the first time? Yeah. He was so excited. So I got to share that with him. That was really cool. I mean, that's a lot of the fun of it is passing it down, It's funny because you mentioned costumes and people showing up in costumes. The same thing happened when I took him to see The Force Awakens. Everybody showed up in costumes, and he was so excited when he first got there. So when I got my tickets, all of the good seats were sold out, right? So I had to get tickets for a showing that didn't have pre-selected seats. So we had to show up early, like really early. Like we showed up at like 3:30 or 4, and it wasn't until like 7:30 the showing. And at first he was like, oh my god, we're gonna be here for so long. And then, you know, quickly he got excited about people showing up in costumes, and he didn't even, I mean, the time passed so fast, and he was just so excited, you know, everyone showing up in costumes, and he's running up and down telling everybody that he loves Star Wars. Do you love Star Wars? I do too. I love Star Wars. And he was a little jealous that they all had their lightsabers. He's like, I should have brought my lightsaber. Until right before we went inside, when they told everyone in line, oh, by the way, if you have lightsabers, you can't take them inside. Everyone was so mad, because what are they supposed to do? You know, they had to like leave their place in line to go put the lightsabers. It was insane. Not well planned out, that theater. But anyway, it was a lot of fun. So, and another thing, you mentioned that you work at a comic shop, and I thought I would bring up comics. And I guess I'm just curious if you are familiar with this, and but also anyone else watching. This is just a cool opportunity to bring up one of my favorite things. There's a writer, there's a comic creator called named Scott McCloud. Old school comics people might know him as the creator of Zot. But he wrote a book, and it's called Understanding Comics. This is a really interesting book because I have found I've worked in a few different industries. I worked for a computer game company, Origin. We made like Wing Commander and Ultima and stuff. And you would find this on like game designers' desks all over the building. You know, of course I already had it. I was, you know, big fan of this book. A friend of mine, my friend Matt Nastos, who's a comic artist and now he's a writer, and he's written for Disney. He's done a bunch of things, but he introduced me to this I used to take like art lessons from him, and he was like, you know, you gotta get this book, along with a bunch of other books. But this one struck me, and sure enough, it struck a lot of other people. So I would find this, you know, every game designer has this. And then I got into filmmaking. Well, after that, I learned how to run a camera and started writing and directing horror movies. And I noticed a lot of directors also had this book. And this book is just it goes so far beyond comic books. It's more of a Bible on creativity is what it is, and understanding the creative process, you know, how to navigate the creative process and how it works. You know, how one of the things that really sticks with me about this is how there are all these different layers, you know, and you know, they go very deep in the concept, and then they kind of up here is like surface, right? That's like, you know, for comics that would be like shading and you know, coloring, things like that. And that's usually the first thing people learn. So somebody draws a Wolverine that they think looks awesome because they're using all these little shading techniques, you know, and they're using all these techniques that they see other people using. They're kind of copying what other people are doing, and then they bring it to a comic show, and the artist, you know, is looking at it, and they just rip it apart, and they're like, well, you don't know anatomy, and you know, I don't think you understand where the light is coming from, and my God, you know, you need to get a book on perspective. And the point is that we often start a creative journey and getting into something creative by leaping ahead to that polished finish, that thing that makes it look done, that we associate with good quality polished work. And we jump to that, and we get that, you know, we get that down, but we don't have anything underneath it. And how usually most artists will actually back into it, and that's kind of okay. It's sort of the natural way that people will do this. But you know, you back into these things, and you start to learn. You know, you learn the next thing. You know, maybe you learn. I'm gonna get these out of order, but you know, one of them was structure. Before structure, I think there was there's, you know, well, I don't know. There's learning structure, and then there's learning things like, you know, timing and drama and comedy and understanding all those things, and then you get below that, then you get into this whole being able to mess with the form itself, and that's where you get into like artists and comic artists, and goes same can be said for films or anything, where you're actually playing with the form itself. Think about being John Malkovich. All right, that's where someone is kind of playing with the very form of film itself, whether you're turning the whole, you understand deep enough to be able to turn the whole thing on its head, and then you get really, really down to the crux of it, and you reach a point where you say, but what do I have to say? You could do all of those things and make something entertaining and interesting, but if you don't have something to say, what's the point? And then he brings up, like Mouse, M-A-U-S, which is a parable. It's sort of an allegory about the Nazi occupation of Nazi occupation and the massacre of the Jews in World War II, from the perspective of like Nazis are cats and the Jewish people are mice. And anyway, it's a brilliant graphic art, graphic novel, but it's something that he brings up as, when you get down to, what do you have to say, what is your point? And as you follow that journey, you can kind of see where different artists have found niches in different places, but not all of them decided to go all that far. Not everybody needs to, toy with the actual medium that they're working in, and change the rules. Not everybody has to, come up with some profound philosophical statement, but it's important to kind of understand where you are on that ladder, and kind of know where you want to be, or when you want to explore what. And anyway, it's just one piece of that book that's fascinating. So I think if you're into anything creative, and I don't care if it's writing or maybe you make videos, maybe you make movies, maybe you carve pipes. I mean, there is nothing creative that this does not apply to. So it's a really interesting book, and I'll just finish that off by saying he also wrote one of my favorite graphic novels of late, which this is actually very new, relatively, and this is called The Sculptor. It's a huge graphic novel that he wrote, and I just found it riveting from cover to cover. This guy Scott McCloud, he's still got it. So that was really neat. Anyway, I thought I would share some comics that have influenced my life, and I have to say, understanding comics has influenced my life a lot, and my creativity. So if you're interested, check that out. And I think that's about it. So I think I'll leave you with a joke. So a guy is at a bar, right? And stop me if you've heard this. Actually, just hit next on the video if you've heard this. And beautiful woman walks in, slides up next to him at the bar, and she says, "Tonight is your lucky night. I'm going to do whatever you want me to do for $20, as long as you can say it in 3 words." Well, he says, "You're on." Gets out $20, slides it across the bar, and whispers into her ear, "Paint my house." Thanks, guys. I'll see you soon.